Oh, yes. This is the Hardcore Marketing Show. I'm Casey Cheshire, your host for this epic journey. And today's show, sponsored by Cheshire Impact, on a mission to help people maximize their use of Pardot and Salesforce. CheshireImpact.com. Bam. I did it. I started another podcast. Here it is. It's recording. It's live. I'm excited. My guest is so stoked on a brand new microphone. Can't wait for you to hear her. Can't wait to introduce you to her. Who is she, Casey? Stop talking. Stop blabbing back and forth. Let's go. Let's do this. Well, she is a visionary leader, a change agent. I love that expression. An award-winning Hispanic marketer. Many, many awards. Multicultural Marketing Excellence Award, PR Society of America, the Silver Anvil Award for Best PR Campaign, Billboard Music Award. What? Former multicultural marketing brand manager at the Coca-Cola Company. Hello, founder and CEO of the Saramar Group. Saramar Marske, welcome to the show.
Hey, Casey, what is up? How you doing? So excited to be here.
Yes. Oh my gosh. We're going to have so much fun today. We're going to be talking about what? The Hispanic marketplace, marketing to them, understanding different groups and understanding just there's so much. I can't wait to learn. We haven't really ever talked about this on the podcast. So I'm going to stop talking and pass you this thing. It's heavy for me. All right, here you go. Thor's hammer. You want to grab that?
I do.
Okay, there you go. Okay, awesome. Take Thor's hammer, smash for me some kind of marketing myth, bogus strategy, misconception. Just set the record straight once and for all.
Excellent. Well, first of all, it's awesome that you have an actual hammer.
Well, it is actually Thor's hammer too. It's Thor's actual hammer. It's on
actual
loan.
Hammer.
Yeah, it's his actual. It has a name. I forget it though.
So let's smash this thing. So the myth that we're smashing today is my brand does not need a Hispanic marketing strategy. So in fact, it does. So it's crazy. So in spite of the fact that Hispanics have an incredible contribution to the United States economically, culturally, from a population growth standpoint, many brands and businesses are underinvesting in this market, and they're underserving this market, and in fact, even overlooking the Hispanic market entirely. And so this is the problem, right? If your brand isn't actively engaging with US Hispanic market, you're definitely leaving a significant business growth opportunity on the table. So let's think about this, Casey. Let's look at the data because the numbers don't lie. There are over 60 million Hispanics that live in the United States. That's 19% of the total
how many?
US population. 60 million. It's actually 64 million.
Yeah.
Right. So that's 19% of the US population.
Hell yeah.
Now, 80% of the US population growth over the next 20 years is going to come from the Hispanic community. Jeez. Wrap your brain around that.
I can't wrap my brain around that.
Right?
That's a lot 80%. Of growth.
Yes. So Hispanics own $1.5 trillion in buying power, and their income levels have been increasing over the past 5 years, 20.7% growth in income for the household over the past 5 years. And think about this. If you compared Hispanic contributions to the US economy, to the GDPs of countries around the world, the Hispanic segment would be the 8th largest economy in the world.
Jeez.
Yeah. So wouldn't you want to do business with the 8th largest economy in the world?
Hell yeah. Sign me up.
Right?
But like most people are ignoring this, right? I haven't yet to talk about this on the podcast. So why do we not address this?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So if you think about it, we mentioned before that Hispanics make up 19% of the US population, but only 6% of ad spend is targeted to Hispanic audiences. And 78% of Hispanics say they don't see themselves reflected in the marketing strategies or in the advertising of many, many brands. Yet, as we talked about, the data shows that when you invest in the Hispanic market, it's going to drive a return for you. Now, another important point here to think about too, Casey, is the youth of the Hispanic market. It's a very young community. Now, the median age of the Hispanic community is 27 years old versus 42 for non-Hispanic whites.
Wow.
Yes, that's crazy. And here's another one. Think about US population under the age of 18.
Okay.
US Hispanics make up 25% of that
Yeah. There you
population.
go. Okay.
Yes. And so what does this translate to? What does this translate into? So this translates into more years of buying power. 55 years of
Yeah.
buying power versus 37 years for those who are non-Hispanic white. So this is absolutely a priority for your business. And if you're not thinking about integrating Hispanic marketing as a core part of your business growth strategy, it's a huge missed opportunity. And it's one that we're committed to helping companies solve here at Saramar Group.
Yeah, no, I love this. Now,
Yeah.
can I like take a step
Yeah.
back? I am a caveman. I am
Mhm.
Caucasian. I'm probably from Ireland, which is why I love Guinness. I,
Mhm.
sometimes I even get nervous about the idea. Can you even talk about like targeting a particular segment? Is it
Right.
racist? Is it racist to not target them? Like, help me understand, how do you even approach this without like, is it a gray line or is it very clear? How do you approach this? And maybe that's
Right.
even half the reason why people don't even want to address the segment.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. Let's talk
Yeah.
about why brands are overlooking our Hispanic market. I think, first of all, there needs to be a mindset shift, right?
Okay.
A mindset shift within companies, within leadership teams, and even within marketing organizations. Often the views that we have are formulated by our personal experiences. They're formulated by what we're exposed to, by where we grew up, how we grew up, and this can even influence sometimes our approach to marketing. Now, as you know, we've seen over this past year a historic movement for social justice. It's been incredible.
Yeah.
It's been amazing. So it's inspired many companies to take a deeper look at how they're approaching inclusivity at their organization, at how they're approaching diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it's awesome to see many more companies taking a stronger commitment in that space. And so
Mm,
what's really important, Casey, to remember that is alongside of those diversity and inclusion efforts, we want to also complement that and align that with multicultural marketing as well.
got it.
It's important. And why is it important? Because marketing is how we tell the stories of our brands, right? And we want our brand stories to demonstrate that commitment to diversity. We want our brand stories to authentically reflect the diverse communities that we serve and that, importantly, who purchase from our brands. Right.
I'm picking
And so
up on it. Yeah.
yeah. And so we really want to demonstrate a deep understanding and appreciation of diverse audiences and their unique stories through our brand stories and through our marketing. And
Got it.
so, thinking through it, there's kind of probably a variety of factors as to why brands might not be doing this. They may be unaware of the data that we just talked about earlier, unaware of the opportunity, and it just might not be on the radar. And
Well,
the thought
yeah.
might not be occurring to someone.
But I really liked
Yeah.
your take on this because
Mhm.
there's that negative view of like, oh, are you trying to exploit a segment? But actually it's the flip. It's like if your brand, 25% of your brand or more may be of different races and types and shapes and colors and sizes. And so let's make sure our marketing is, you said it, multicultural marketing, like making sure and I love that the focus on you're being inclusive and you're making sure that you're not being so your target's
Yeah.
missing the mark because you half your audience or more is like, I don't understand this. That doesn't look like me. I don't feel myself reflected in that ad. So then they don't
Exactly.
click on it and then it's not. So I totally, it's like the flip of that, which is making sure that your marketing messages are hitting all of your audiences.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
And,
Cool.
part of me is like, if we're looking at social justice, from my philosophy is part of that is allocating the budget, right?
Yeah.
Allocating the budget to making sure that you are authentically reaching those multicultural communities. And when we're looking at Hispanic marketing, kind of what you were mentioning earlier, there may be a level of discomfort to that, right?
Yeah, sure.
Perhaps folks in the organization might not have an understanding of the culture. Perhaps they might not speak the language, which might bring about some sort of hesitation, like, oh, this makes me feel uncomfortable. I'm not sure. But, there's folks out there that are here to help, and here to make those connections and make sure you're being authentic and make sure you're being relevant. So we can get through that.
Yeah.
Um,
Authentic and relevant. I like that.
yeah.
Because
Uh,
you don't want to like have like a cheesy take on what you think the stereotype of someone in a different culture is. Like you should, it's like when they make movies and they, they make the scene completely, it seems like a great movie, but then anyone that actually knows that industry, like an actual doctor, actual pilot, it's like that'll never happen, or like, that, you see a movie and they show some culture and that particular
yeah.
culture is like, that's not who we are. It's like they made
Right.
that off of a stereotype. So yeah, you got to make sure you're authentic. I like that.
Exactly. And that cultural relevance is so important. And then,
Yeah.
another barrier might be that, hey, we recognize that there is an opportunity in the Hispanic market, but we don't know how to go about activating on it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that too. But at the core, I do truly believe it's about a shift in mindset at
Yeah.
many companies and organizations. And so, especially in this moment that we are living now, we have such an opportunity to expand our perspectives, to expand our understanding of different cultures, to redefine and really reimagine what growth looks like for our businesses, what the future looks like for our businesses, and even to reshape our perspectives of the
Yeah.
Hispanic community.
You,
Because, go
yeah.
ahead.
No, I was just saying, like,
Yeah.
I bet your experience at Coke, like everyone drinks Coca-Cola. Like, hello, it's a perfect opportunity for this. But finish your thought. I'd love to hear though, like, what kind of lessons you learned from working at Coke around this.
Well, yeah. Well, I think before we get there, kind of the kind of key takeaway here is when we're thinking about reshaping perspectives around our Hispanic communities, to think, believe it or not, Hispanics are our next high net worth consumers.
Nice.
Look at, again, we're going to look at the data here. Average household income increasing 29% since 2005. Hispanics are leading college enrollment growth. There has been a 180% increase in Hispanic college enrollment in the last 20 years. And we talked about the youth of the population. Imagine 25% of those people under 18 going into college that are Hispanic. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
Yeah.
And also, a lot of people don't know Hispanics are driving home ownership. Over the past 10 years, Hispanics have accounted for 60% of the increase in in the increase of home ownership in the US. It's mind blowing.
Wow. So
There's so,
I see like a big sign saying like, don't forget about me, right? Make sure you include me in your campaign, whether it's B2B or B2C. Like that's another good question. Do you see this do you see any of this happening in the consumer side versus the business side? And how do you get multicultural marketing infused in some more of the B2B world?
I so love that you just asked that,
Yeah.
because this led right into my next exact point. So you may be thinking, oh, well, I have a B2B brand and I offer B2B services, so that might
Right.
not work for me. I'm not consumer, oriented, but hey, that's another myth that we can smash, Casey.
Yes, do it.
Because
You got
guess
the
what?
hammer still, so go for it.
Okay, we're gonna smash that
Bam.
one too, because guess what? There are 4.7 million Hispanic-owned businesses in the U.S. That contribute over $700 billion to the US economy every year. The growth of Hispanic businesses has outpaced the growth of other groups owning businesses, double or triple the rate over the past 15 years.
Okay.
So, absolutely. So, if you have a business that is offering solutions to small business owners, this is a market for you. Business banking, HR solutions, employment solutions, technology solutions, website services, all of those things that businesses need to run and function are a huge opportunity for our Hispanic market.
How do you approach that? And how do you, is there a line
Mhm.
like where you're not pandering to an audience, but you're targeting them, like you're including them, but you're not trying to exploit them? How do you go?
Yeah.
Do you specifically target 4.7 Hispanic owned businesses, but like ads saying like great web hosting for Hispanic business? Like how do you approach that? I could see where people might be confused and also risk adverse because you don't want to offend people. So they're like, I don't know. How would you advise people to address that on the B2B world?
On the B2B world,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, you know, that cultural relevance is key again.
Yeah.
And as we talked about, we want we want the people we do business with and who consume our products to see themselves reflected,
Yeah.
in in our advertising, in our marketing. And, you know, we're going to talk about this a little bit later, but we take a very purpose-driven approach to marketing. So there's so many organizations that are Hispanic serving that you can be part of, where you can really support the growth of the Hispanic market, and you can really support the growth of the businesses. So my approach is like, how do we not only sell our services to our Hispanic business owners, but how do we play a role in their growth? How do we help them succeed? How do we help them scale and get to the next level and create that economic prosperity? And so it's really about being intentional, about being culturally relevant, about being inclusive, and about being purpose-driven when you're connecting with that audience.
What do you mean by purpose-driven?
I love that you asked that.
Am I just like throwing you softballs left and right? I'm like actually genuinely curious.
No,
you can like sound like a completely scripted show, like, but yeah, like I know you've mentioned a couple of times. I know it's on your LinkedIn profile.
Yeah. So I'm as a person, just very purpose-driven. That's how I was raised. And I truly believe in the power of brands to do good in the world.
Okay.
And
cool.
And so we know that, purpose is having a higher purpose in business is actually good for business. So let's talk about how being purpose-driven can kind of come to life in the Hispanic marketing space. So let's imagine a story, actually. So let's imagine the story of Miguel. Now let's think about Miguel. His parents sacrificed everything to come to the United States, leaving everything behind in pursuit of new opportunities.
Hell yeah.
In pursuit of a brighter future for Miguel and his brothers and sisters.
Cool.
Miguel, let's think about him. He's the oldest of four. Okay. He grew up in humble beginnings. His parents raised him with strong family values.
Nice.
Instilling in him the importance of education, of honoring and celebrating his culture and heritage, of owning who he is. And, Miguel has always deeply felt the support of his parents and desire for him to achieve in life and live a life well lived. So let's think about Miguel. He's incredibly bright. Let's say he's in high school right now. He's talented in math and sciences and really dreams of working in the tech industry one day.
Cool.
So let's imagine that you're the brand that awards Miguel a scholarship so that he can go to college and pursue those dreams.
Yeah.
Imagine if your brand helps Miguel experience the pride and even overcome the challenges of being the first in his family to go to college. Let's think about if your brand was the financial institution that helped Miguel open his first bank account. But that you not only helped him open his first bank account, but you empowered him with financial knowledge.
Right.
Like how to use credit cards,
and
how
not
to
get
save.
screwed over by credit. Yeah, totally.
Not get screwed over, right? How to budget, how to invest, right?
Yeah.
Which is a crazy world that we don't really know about, and how to build wealth for his family. Imagine if that's your brand. Okay, so let's think about Miguel being in college now. Maybe he's studying computer engineering. So imagine if you're the brand that might give him an internship, or you give him a program that you're empowering him to develop leadership skills and career skills that are going to prepare him for his future career. Imagine that. And so as Miguel continues along in his journey, like many immigrant families, let's think about it. I think he has an entrepreneurial spirit, right? And
I like that.
And decides to start a tech company, right? So we talked about B2B earlier. Here's Miguel. Here's your target audience, right?
Yeah.
So imagine if your brand not only provides those solutions to Miguel to run his business, but empowers him with the knowledge and resources on how to start and grow the business, how to access capital, how to access networks, how to manage his finances, how to do hiring and beyond so that he can grow. So now Miguel is scaling his business. Now Miguel is creating jobs for people. He's building economic prosperity in his community. And your brand helped do that.
Yeah.
Imagine that. All right. Last one here. Let's think about this. Imagine, fast forward a few more years.
Yep, totally.
Now Miguel's starting a family, right?
Oh, yeah. Sold his first business, got a good exit. Now he's going to do another one. Yeah.
Yeah. Go Miguel. But he may have grown up in an apartment, with his parents,
Sure.
his two parents and his three siblings, and always dreamed of owning a home. And so he would be the first in his family to own a home, maybe. So imagine if you're the brand who not only provides him solutions for home ownership, mortgages, etc. But what if you educated him on the ins and outs of buying a home, right?
Yeah.
And your brand is helping Miguel build that wealth for his family. So think about that. Think about how incredible that story is and how your brand can be a part of that story. So, overall, imagine this. Imagine if you're the brand that sees Miguel, right? That sees Miguel's resilience, his drive, his optimism, his deep pride in his cultural heritage. And imagine if you're the brand that helps propel Miguel forward in achieving his aspirations. Imagine if you're the brand that helps Miguel make his parents and his grandparents proud, right? You're going to want to be that brand. We want you to be that brand.
Yeah.
And here's why. When your brand invests in Miguel is going to invest in your brand and become your loyal customer for life.
Right.
And that's the power of purpose.
And you'll tell like 30,000 people about it too.
Right.
Yeah.
And you mentioned 30,000, but picture this. It's 33 million. There are 33 million Hispanics under the age of 33. In this country. That's 60% of the Hispanic population. So everyone in this community has a unique story, right? But there are millions who share that similar desire to achieve progress and abundance for their families.
Yeah.
And how can your brand be a part of that story? And that's what I mean by purpose. We are purpose driven. We are not only doing business where we're generating dollars and impacting our balance sheet, but we're also creating a larger social impact in the lives of the consumers that we serve.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. And so Casey, you might ask, okay, so purpose, maybe it sounds fluffy, right?
No, it sounds good. I like it. I can sink my teeth into it.
Like people are like, oh, well, we're not a charity. We're a business. We're here to drive revenue, right? We're here to make money.
Yeah.
But yeah, ROI, and I agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I absolutely agree with that. And I'm here to say, yes, what we do is we not only drive business growth, but we also, while doing so, create that larger social impact.
Yeah.
And there's a clear business case for it.
Right. Totally.
Like, as you know, like consumer mindsets have shifted over the past couple of years. Past several decades, really, and people want to invest their dollars in companies that support the causes they care about. Right.
Right.
And our Hispanic consumers are no different. 61% of Hispanics believe it's important for companies to support their community. Mm-hmm. And we know based on data that companies with an established sense of purpose in terms of social impact, outperform the S&P 500 by 10 times.
S&P does a pretty good job. So to outperform that is pretty wild.
Yeah. Think about it too, from an employee perspective. Like employees want to be part of a business and a brand that is doing something good for the community that has a higher purpose. In fact, all stakeholders across the organization are interested in the organization and contributing in a higher way, in a higher purpose to the community. And we know that inspired employees are more productive, and they're driving better results for the business. So there's a clear business case for it as well.
Oh, totally.
Which is why I'm so passionate about it.
No, I can tell you're certainly passionate about it. And that's awesome. Because you need someone to, shake people up and like, guys, let's go. Let's approach this. Let's take it on. Can you tell me about your Coca-Cola days? Cause I feel like I can totally see that just being an amazing place to learn and experiment and try different things. And so what was it like doing multicultural branding at Coke? And then, what kind of lessons did you get from that?
So I was on the multicultural marketing team at Coke for around 5 years. And it was an incredible experience, Casey. Like at the forehand of the number one brand in the world, leading efforts in Hispanic marketing. Wow. What an amazing opportunity. And one of the things that I really did love about my experience there was, I think one of the key takeaways I alluded to this earlier, but one of the key takeaways that I left Coke with was the amazing power that brands have to make an impact in the world. It's just incredible. And you're right. There was so many amazing opportunities to learn. And some of the work, a lot of the work that I got to lead was impact driven.
Mm-hmm.
And so just a couple of examples, we did campaigns giving away scholarship opportunities to Hispanic youth. We celebrated Hispanic Heritage Month by doing that. I led our, a lot of people don't know this, but Coke has had a commitment to empower 5 million women entrepreneurs by the year 2020.
Really?
And so I was able to lead that work for multicultural women in the US, going around the country, training women in entrepreneurship, inspiring them with the mindset of growing the business. So that was incredible. And then we also did a lot of active, healthy living work, in terms of the soccer space, a lot of youth programs and connecting around youth around the passion of soccer. One of the programs that I was part of leading was our Coca-Cola, which is basically in English the Coca-Cola Cup, which is
right.
It's actually cool. It's actually really cool. It was done during, the World Cup timeframe, and it's a global initiative actually. So countries around the world got youth teams together for a tournament. And so we did that in 10 markets across the US with Hispanic students or Hispanic youth playing soccer. And that was incredible. And what was really cool about that particular initiative was, globally, and a few of the youth that played in the US got to go to the World Cup in Brazil and experience a week of soccer camp there and go to the opening ceremony. So it was incredible. So
wow.
Really cool stuff. Like when I was there, Casey, like I found myself in opportunities where I was like, what am I doing here? Little Sarah. I remember being, part of the women empowerment work that we did, being in the room where President Obama was on stage. Michelle Obama was on stage. Oprah was on stage.
Wow.
Joe Biden was on stage, and I was like, wow, I'm here.
That's crazy.
It was really cool. It was really cool. And then, all of the work that we did, around the World Cup was also just phenomenal. I remember, working with Carlos Vives. I think you know who that is.
For sure.
Which is a Latin superstar. And so we did a whole campaign with him around the FIFA World Cup in 2014 in Brazil, where, he went around and experienced the World Cup from a variety of different angles and talked about his experience at the World Cup. And, it's just really cool things. We also had a big partnership with the Mexican national team, soccer team, and who played friendlies here in the US. And so activated a lot of those, got to go to a lot of those games. I mean, just really awesome. Like, this is the other thing about Hispanic marketing. Like, it's the most fun marketing you're going to do.
I'll give you that. Like, the music is great. And and behind the scenes, I've always been a fan of Latin music and all different kinds, like everything, bachata, salsa, reggaeton, all those. So it is just such a fun environment. And there's a lot of energy too, I think, is playing into that energy and certainly owning it and being a part of it is just, it's very captivating for sure. It's addicting.
Yeah, it's amazing. And so I think one of the things, that we did really well at Coke was to really connect our brand to those passion points of the community, to really connect with the values of the community, be it like we talked about education, entrepreneurship, family, bringing the family together around the table to share a refreshing Coca-Cola at the family meal, soccer, just really being an integral part of what is important to the community, and being a part of those values and passion points and creating overall that emotional connection with the community, between the community and the brand.
Yeah.
So that's what we did.
Whew. Crazy. Well, a couple questions for you, kind of rapid fire
Yeah.
questions. I'd love to know what keeps you up at night when you're working these kind of campaigns and working with your clients to approach this marketplace. What's the biggest challenges that you're facing? What just sort of keeps you up?
I feel like that the budgets are allocated to it. You
Budgeting.
know,
Yeah.
like, I think that's when we're looking at multicultural marketing, we're thinking about Hispanic marketing. Like, it's really important to allocate the proper amount of budget to do it right and to do it well. And that it's not an afterthought, and that it's an integral part of the strategy from the outset.
Yeah.
And that it that there's a concerted strategic effort in a way that honors the opportunity
Yeah.
and honors the promise of the community. So that's what keeps me up at night. People cutting budgets from it.
Right.
Stop doing that.
Stop it, people. Slap their
Yeah.
hand. Get out of there. Leave
Exactly.
that budget alone, or add more to it while you're at it, because you
Mhm.
just rattle off so many stats that this thing continues to grow and you need to pay attention to it.
Mhm.
The flip question to that one is, what's got you excited about the future? What kind of things are moving or changing and shaping? What are you excited about?
We've had an interesting year. I mean, as we all know,
Yeah.
with the pandemic and with this movement towards social justice, and so it's been interesting to see, how that has played out in the marketing space. And like, I'm excited about the emphasis, right, on inclusion, on diversity, on being inclusive of our multicultural communities across the board, from hiring to professional development and growth, executive leadership, and from a multicultural marketing standpoint, and how there's such an opportunity of growth there, where brands can continue to support and uplift our multicultural communities in a way that's authentic. So I'm excited about that. I think that's really awesome. And I'm excited to get out of this pandemic.
Yeah.
I'm
Me too.
excited to, you know, like, uh, our Hispanic community, obviously, as you know, was disproportionately impacted, from a health perspective, from a jobs perspective, from a business ownership perspective. Because of the pandemic, educational perspective too. I think I'm mentoring a youth who, is at home all day, having to be on Zoom learning school, which is not awesome. So, there, it, you know, it, it's definitely had an impact, as you know, but I think we have an opportunity to now, turn around and get back to growth, right?
Yeah.
Ideally, with the vaccines coming out, with the economy a little bit more normalized, with, the market being stimulated a little bit more, we're able to start seeing some again, that forward trajectory.
Yeah.
And if there's one thing we know, especially about our Hispanic community, that it's a community with a story of resilience, with a story of optimism, with a story of growth. So I'm excited to see us get out of this pandemic and go back to that exponential growth that we're
Yeah.
seeing. Yeah. Also, I think I would add too, Casey, like,
Yeah.
um, it's going to be interesting to see like how marketing goes too. I think there's probably going to be kind of this fusion or hybrid of where we're going to continue obviously doing a lot of work in the digital space, but I feel like there's going to be that need for connection again, where we really are creating community, where we like create experiences and opportunities for people to come together, obviously when it's safe,
Yeah.
um, but like to be together again and like even disconnect, right? Experience nature, experience
Yeah.
humanity, experience being together, like,
Yeah.
and just live in a way that's enriching again, and encompassing of that spirit of community. So I think there's going to be some opportunities to create those types of experiences from a brand perspective, which will be really interesting.
I think so too. I'm really curious. You know a lot of things that a lot of people. Who are you? Where what was it like growing up? Did you know you were destined to be this evangelist for Hispanic marketing and
Yeah.
multicultural marketing? Can you take me back in time, like little Sarah days? What was it like growing up?
I think little Sarah did kind of know it, like, from the beginning, because here's what's cool. So I'm, obviously I'm not Latina, my family isn't of Hispanic heritage. But here's what was really cool. I'm from North Carolina, and in my school system in North Carolina, we had Spanish literally since preschool, which you don't really see that nowadays. But we had Spanish in preschool, kindergarten, elementary school, middle school, high
Mm-hmm.
school. I always loved it. I always did
Yeah.
well. I remember one of my favorite moments in elementary school was when my second grade teacher partnered me with a boy named Juan, who was new to our school, who spoke Spanish, was learning English, and she put me with him to help him learn English. And I was like, wow, this is super cool. Like, we were like best friends. Like, it was just
Yeah.
awesome.
I'm sure
And
you picked up a
so,
bunch of Spanish, right?
well, I mean, so I was very lucky to have that foundation of, of learning Spanish. And then, kind of, I also had, I was raised really with a global perspective as well. My mom worked for the YMCA. And a lot of people don't know this, but the Y is a global organization. There's YMCAs all over the world. And she had a chance to travel to Latin America, lots of countries, Chile, Uruguay, Colombia, with the YMCA. And she would always bring stories back home. She would bring artifacts back home, and help me with my Spanish homework even. like
Right.
like so I mean, she just always also encouraged it, and so brought back that global perspective as well. I went to YMCA camp growing. Everything I did in life was with the YMCA, by the way, growing up, because my mom worked for the Y. But I went to YMCA camp. Every one of my tons of counselors were from countries or from around the world. It was really cool. So I was like, oh man, when I grow up, I want to do that. So so in
Yeah.
college, so I went to, UNC Chapel Hill, and double majored in international studies and Spanish. Like those are two passions, right? International studies and the language. I had the opportunity through the YMCA to go live in Costa Rica and volunteer with youth at the YMCA, doing summer camps,
Mm.
sports, and PE, and just all sorts of things. And that is a fantastic way, to be immersed in the community and use your Spanish and really hone the skills. And so that was
Yeah.
incredible. And the kids were awesome. Like, they always helped you. They were just so patient too. So it's really cool. And then, like, I also had the opportunity in college to study abroad, or live abroad too, in Spain. So,
Oh, really? You went to Spain?
yeah.
Wow.
So
What was
studied
that
at the
like?
university. Oh, it was cool. Different. It's definitely a different experience between, Spain and Costa Rica.
Yeah.
But unique and beautiful in their own ways, right? Um,
Do you prefer one or the other? Or is that gonna
no,
anger half
I
your
think I have
friends?
to remain neutral here, Casey.
Yeah. Okay.
But I studied at the University of Salamanca, and then lived in Barcelona,
Wow.
with a family. And so that was also, and volunteered there with the Ronald McDonald House. And that was also, an incredible experience. And so I've always, known that there was something special in that for me,
Mm-hmm.
and that that's something that I wanted to continue throughout my life, and kind of in my career. And so that's kind of how it's been. That's how opportunities have come about in my
Yeah.
career. I I moved down to Atlanta. I interned for Univision 34 in marketing. I worked for a local nonprofit here called the Latin American Association, leading PR, marketing, and communications. Was there for 5 years. That was awesome. Very
Wow.
connected to the community, very, grassroots work with the community. From there, transitioned over again to Coca-Cola on the multicultural marketing team there.
Yeah.
And now we're here with Saramar Group.
Right.
Um,
Your own
and it's,
thing. I mean, you set up your own shop.
yeah, yeah. So started the business 2 years ago, and just incredibly excited about the opportunity to welcome brands into this world of Hispanic marketing, and help them along that journey.
Man, it's a wild, cool story, and it just cross cultures. That is so fun. And then your own, was it scary going out on your own and creating the group, the Saramar Group?
It's scary every day, Casey.
That's true.
Yes.
Hasn't gotten better.
What's so funny is that, like, I think it's hard enough to start a business, right?
Yeah.
It's a challenging thing in itself. And then guess what? Add a global pandemic. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, so it's definitely been a roller coaster for sure. It's been, I think like any entrepreneur, you go through the ups, you go through the downs. You go, especially with the pandemic, it has been an emotional roller coaster, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm optimistic and super positive. I'm seeing some lift obviously in the market over the past couple of months. So that's exciting. But yeah, it is scary. It's kind of like you're creating your own future.
Yeah.
You don't know where necessarily your income is coming from,
Right.
like 6 months down the road. And so
Man.
each opportunity is something you have to create yourself.
Right.
And so there's challenges to that. There's fears with that. But there's also empowerment with that.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. And a sense of sort of gratification as well.
Yeah. Huh. Well, I have a hypothetical question for you.
Okay.
So COVID finishes, and I may or may not have a time machine in New Hampshire here. And if I do have one, you get to use the time machine after COVID. You come visit, get some lobster, and then you go use this time machine. It takes you back in time. It's particular. It takes you back in time to you after you graduated from school. Undergrad, right? So you just graduated, you got that international studies, Spanish, and you get to meet you, Sarah, then. What kind of advice would you give her, knowing all the things you've been through and the choices you made? What kind of advice would you give yourself?
That is the type of question that makes you think very profoundly, Casey.
Yes. Yes.
I think three things come to mind.
Okay.
I think the first thing that comes to mind is about your value. And this, I would say to recent grad Sarah and to everyone, right, is that your value is inherent. Your value exists solely because you are a human being on this earth, right? Your value isn't validated by other people. It's not validated by your career, your company, your title, or even maybe how much money you make. It just exists because you are you, and you are uniquely you. And know that you are valuable, that you are beautiful, that you are here for a purpose, right? And that the world needs you. The world needs your gifts that are uniquely yours. And so to continue to give your gifts to the world.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I would say.
That's powerful.
And then
that's powerful. That's only number one.
That's only number one, right?
Holy moly. You're making use of this time machine. I like that. It's not just, you're not just saying, sports scores. You're like, let's sit down here. You're like, Sarah, sit down. We need to talk.
Yeah, we need to talk. You need to hear some stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
this stuff is going to help you. I think the second one, now this one's really important for me too, is don't be so hard on yourself. Like my personality is one that I beat myself up. I'm so hard on myself. Like, I mean, it's amazing. Like, I'll say something or like, I feel like, oh, I'm in a meeting. Oh my God, that sounded so stupid. Like, or like I did this and I lose sleep and I'm like, oh my God, like it's kind of like I just beat myself up about things. And I'm like, whoa, give yourself a break. Like we're human. Like, like everyone, no one's perfect. Right.
Yep.
And, you know, this has actually been my mantra through the pandemic too, like we talked a little bit earlier about the business and everything. It's like, give yourself grace. You're new to this. You haven't experienced a pandemic and growing a business before.
Right.
Like just give yourself grace in general. Cause it's going to be all right, and just enjoy the life,
Yeah.
and, don't take it so seriously, I guess,
Yeah.
like enjoy it, give yourself grace. And, yeah. Okay. If you make a mistake, great. Apologize, move on and keep living a good life. So I think that's the second thing. And then the third thing, is more about relationships, right?
Okay.
Like to be as intentional about the relationships in your life as you are about your career. Because, I think a lot of us, we think about, oh, okay, we're very career oriented. We're very career focused. We want to advance in our career. We want to achieve a certain, income. We want to like reach the next level. And that's awesome. And we spend a lot of time and effort and focus on that. Right. But sometimes in that journey of focus and in that journey of ambition, relationships might fall to the wayside a little bit. And you might not spend as much time with your family. You might not spend as much time with your friends or working on your relationships, romantically or otherwise. So, I think the most precious thing we have in life, right, are the people in it.
Agree.
Yeah. The people who love us and the people that we love. So I think if anything, this moment that we're living in has taught us that, right?
Totally.
How like as people, like, we're the most important part. The people that we have, the relationships that we have, that's what drives happiness. Right.
Yeah.
And so to be intentional about like fostering those relationships, just as intentional as you are about, fostering your career.
It's so true, right? We spend
Mhm.
time thinking about our resume and our LinkedIn profile and our personal
Mhm.
brand and all these things.
Mhm.
And sometimes when it comes down to the relationships, we're just sort of like winging it and then just seeing what we end up with,
Yeah.
as opposed to really
Yeah.
being deliberate or intentional. Hey, I really want to go to this university. I really want to learn this. And even if you need to change your mind, that's totally cool. But just thinking about your thinking for a second, what do you really
Yeah.
want out of
Yeah.
this? So you don't stumble into something that you didn't really want in the first place.
Yeah. The way I think about it is that I think this is probably something my mom instilled was whenever we reach to the end of our days, we probably aren't going to look back and say, man, I wish I worked harder. You're probably going to look back and say, man, I wish I experienced life. Did I experience life? Did
Right.
I, show love to the people in my life? And did I have great relationships that fed my soul,
Yeah.
and that I was able to feed the soul of others? And that's probably what you're going to look back and think about.
Yeah.
So just to
100%.
continue, just to continue to stay intentional about that.
Yeah. The most intentional people usually win, they win everything. They win at life, work, business, relationships, everything. Just being intentional, thinking just for a second, not even 20 minutes or 20 hours, just like, have you thought about this? What?
Mhm.
and
Right.
then dive
Right.
in after that. Yeah. How
Right.
what kind of things are exciting you these days? I know we're stuck in COVID. Can't really get to any concerts lately, but man, it'd be great to, open up things up and get to some concerts,
Oh yeah. And I and I know you love your Prince Royce.
All of them, man. Aventura, I'll take everybody.
Yeah, right. No, I like Prince Royce too. But what I'm excited about in life or in the business,
Well, real quick. Okay, so Prince Royce. Who else we got? You already talked about Carlos.
Carlos Vives.
Pulling up my Spotify playlist.
Man, let me tell you. So I work out a lot, right? So that's one thing I'm passionate about, staying active and like.
Yeah.
My playlist is it's actually a Pandora playlist. I have playlists on Spotify that I've created, obviously with all my Latin music, right?
Yeah.
But like the one that I've loved the most, you should check it out. It's just been like Latin workout list on Pandora.
Latin workout list.
It's
okay,
the Pandora cool. Latin workout list, right? And so every time I'm working out, running or whatever, like I have that list on. So it's got a lot of good ones. It's got, it's got your reggaeton. It's got all of the, your Maluma, your J Balvin,
Don Omar, Fonzie. Yeah. I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, this is great.
Yeah. So I love it. So that's really, a lot of fun staying active. I'm excited to be able to like actually go back to the gym one day.
Right.
Maybe
small things we take for granted. Right.
Right. Yeah. And just kind of being in the same room with people and being able to hug people. But, I'm kind of excited about, this is a business thing, but cool. One of the cool things that I've been part of is, the city of Atlanta has some incredible programs for incubator programs for women business owners. And so I've had the honor to be selected to be one of the 15 businesses in the 2020 cohort. And with that, there's also the City of Atlanta International, Department of International Affairs, and they are doing kind of a women expert university to help women learn about doing business globally, which is a vision of mine. And so every time we're on like a session where we're learning about global business, I tell you what, like I am more excited than anything. I'm like, this is so cool. Like, I just like can't, like, it's just really awesome to just learn about like how to do business across borders, like how, like, obviously that's been a passion of mine my whole life. And so I'm like, okay, can we come full circle here and start doing business internationally? And just learning about that has just been super exciting. So that's really cool. Back to the personal, playing tennis again has been great. And then, obviously on the other side, I love volunteering. So there's couple of things coming down the pipeline that I'm excited about. One got put on hold. So this is kind of a side passion project of mine. I founded a corporate charity soccer tournament.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's really awesome. It's called Copa United.
Nice.
And so the idea here is that it's companies play against each other. So it's like right now it's in the Atlanta market. Maybe one day we go to other markets, but it's like Coke versus UPS versus IHG, major, like all these companies, and we get out there, we play soccer, and it's all to benefit educational opportunities for Hispanic youth.
That's awesome.
It's super cool. It's like a really, really cool day. So,
I would love for you to do Coke versus Pepsi on the soccer field. You know
who would win, obviously.
Well, who would win? Wait, where's Pepsi even from, right? We don't even know. Where are they from? Everyone knows Coke's from Atlanta.
Yeah. Coke is in Atlanta.
Where's Pepsi from? Do you know?
Somewhere up north. I don't know. No. Nobody cares, Casey.
Nobody cares.
No,
nobody cares. But you can do FedEx versus UPS,
Yeah.
Amazon Prime versus UPS,
Yeah. That's funny. You're taking a whole new slant to it. I kind of like it. You're upping the rivalry by a lot.
Yes. This and then you can sell TV rights.
Hey, I like the way you think. That's next level.
Right?
There you go. So that's been pretty cool. So like we've raised $60,000 the first 2 years that we did it.
That's awesome.
The first
What's
year.
What's it called? Do you have like a URL or anything for that?
Copa United, CopaUnitedATL.com.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. And so, obviously it got blown up last year and we were like on point last year. We had so many companies. We were like, okay, we added Mercedes, we were adding Porsche, we were at we were like doing real well. And then of course it all got blown up with the pandemic. But looking forward to being able to host that tournament again. Ideally, I mean, I don't know if we're going to get to do it this year, but at least, next year for sure. So there's that. And then the other kind of passion project that I'm kind of excited about is starting an initiative called, and this is just an idea I had, called Cocktails and Keynotes for Criminal Justice. To raise money to support organizations that work towards criminal justice. And so the idea here is to do a series of kind of virtual events that are both fun and educational, and also raise funds for those organizations. So we would do kind of maybe like a cocktail making presentation and have a keynote from a powerful speaker speaking about their experience in the criminal justice system. And maybe some conversation around solutions and things like that. So excited about that, like, and trying to get that off the ground. And, obviously would love for all of your listeners to attend and participate. I think that would be really cool. What's neat is like, now that we can do all these virtual things on the Zoom, anyone can participate in an event no matter where you are. So it's pretty cool.
That is amazing. So good. Hey, where can people connect with you? Throw out like social platforms. You already threw out, one URL, throw a bunch of stuff out as we'll put it in the show notes. People can just connect right through, especially if they want to start getting into Hispanic marketing and understanding being authentic and being relevant and all those good things.
Yeah.
Where do you want them to go?
Yeah. So Saramar Group is the business. You can find us on the internets at www.saramargroup.com. And Saramar is Saramar Group. So there's that. And then, or on LinkedIn. We're also on LinkedIn. Those are the two best channels. Sarah Marske on LinkedIn, and then Saramar Group on LinkedIn.
Boom. There it is.
There it is, Casey.
Awesome. We've crushed it.
Have we?
We have. Yeah.
I think we have, Casey. You're right.
Thank you so much for coming on here. I had a blast. It's been a topic that I knew next to nothing about other than just loving the music. So it's great to finally connect some of the dots here, especially with something like marketing, which is also a passion, to connect it with another culture. It's been really fun today.
Oh, good. Awesome. Well, I so appreciate you having me on, and thank you for the invitation. This has been super cool.
Super cool. And you got that new mic, and now that mic is not new anymore. It's got a solid podcast in its belt. So
yeah, I better do 5,000 more podcasts so I can use
5,000 here. Yeah, cheers to 5,000 more. There it is.
Here we go.
Well, thanks again. And for those people listening, this has been the Hardcore Marketing Show. We will catch you all next time.